Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button for me as we're on the road to 100 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. We're only about 10 subscribers away or so at the time of recording this video. So again, every subscription means the absolute world to me and helps support the channel so much. So if you like what you see here today, make sure to hit that subscribe button for me. And let's get into the first topic of the video here today. Well, first, let me actually say happy Labor Day and NFL week to everybody, as we're only a couple days away from the first NFL game with the Eagles and the Cowboys. So I think that's actually going to be a pretty good game. I'm going to talk about that more around the day of the game. But again, a divisional game, people are pretty down on the Cowboys, especially after trading Micah a few days ago. It's a divisional game, and I think the Cowboys still have some pretty good players on that team. So that game is definitely not a guaranteed win for the Eagles that people are making it seem. It's definitely not. Divisional games are always weird. It doesn't matter. But the main topic of today's video is going to be college football. And the first game we're going to talk about here today is Texas versus Ohio State. It's the main game everyone's talking about, to be honest with you. The main reason why is Arch Manning. We all know it. There's really two sides of the coin that people are kind of talking about with Arch Manning. The one side is everyone was hyping him up too much. He's not going to be as good as people think. You know, don't buy into it. And we're seeing the real Arch Manning. That's what some people are saying is I didn't buy into the hype. I don't think he's going to be as good as people say. And I think we're seeing who he is really going to be. Then you have the other side saying it was his first game against the defending national champions in Ohio State at their stadium, and he just looked off. He looked flustered. He didn't set his feet before any throw. He just looked off. I mean, he had a couple good drives, and then he really just didn't look great for most of the game. And that's the side I'm on. I think if you watch it, you know Arch Manning's a good quarterback. He showed a ton of flashes last year when he'd come in. I just think I think Texas waited way too long to start him. I think he should have started last year. I think he should have a full year under his belt. I think they really just messed around with Quinn Ewers for way too long. I think last year with Quinn Ewers, I think we were all expecting Arch Manning to start last year. I was like, okay, we've seen our last year of Quinn Ewers for Arch's freshman year, and then we were going to see him start his sophomore year. And then they said they were going to start Quinn again. Everyone was like, why? Why are they doing this? I mean, they almost got to the national championship, but he didn't play good at all, to be honest with you. He really did not play well at all. I remember people were saying they should really just put in Arch. Who are they playing? Was it Penn State or Notre Dame? It was one of them. And he just looked terrible. He looked absolutely awful in that game. And it was just time. And I heard there was another rumor that Quinn Ewers maybe wasn't going to enter the draft or something. I was like, I don't even think he's eligible to play another season in college football anyway. So I didn't think that was going to happen. But if by the slimmest of chances he were to start again for Texas, so as any rumor he was, if I was Arch, I'd be out of there so fast. But he should have a full year under his belt. He should have started last year. Now, it didn't happen. I'm not making an excuse for him this game. But I will say in Ohio State against the defending national champions, I know Texas is ranked number 1, but I don't care who you are. That's a tough task for anybody, especially when you have all the hype around him coming in. He looked nervous out there. He has the world on his shoulders right out there. I mean, it's different than Ty Simpson, even though he has pressure out there starting for Alabama, but having the last name Manning and going out there starting for the number 1 ranked team in the country against the national defending champions in their house is just, I can't imagine the amount of pressure that is on anyone. And you can tell it was out there on the field. You seen it was out there in his play on the field. He looked like a wreck. He looked completely nervous. He didn't look like he wasn't good enough to play football. That was not the case. He made good plays. He was able to get out of the pocket. Even the last play of the game where they did convert on that 4th down, but he completed that pass and it looked like he was done. It looked like he was going to get sacked. He broke out of it. It wasn't the fact he wasn't good enough to play college football, which is the other side of the coin people are on. They're like, okay, this kid may just not be good enough to play, which is just not true at all. That's absolutely not true. He showed flashes. He just looked completely nervous. He didn't set his feet. A lot of teams, like Penn State and stuff, had kind of a gimme game. Oregon is one of them. They had an absolute gimme game, and that's what Texas kind of needed, to be honest with you. I think we'd be talking about it a little different. I mean, if he played like this against A.R. Pine or whoever, was it Texas A&M played against, just an absolute layup of a game, just a nothing of a game. And he played like this, and they lost 14-7, or they won 14-7. He looked atrocious. We might be having a little bit of a different conversation, but he probably had the worst case scenario for him starting a game this week. So I'm not going to hold that against him. For one, they should have kicked the 2 field goals when they had the chance as well. Would have made it a 1-possession game going into the last drive of the game. I think that absolutely killed. You got to take your points. They didn't convert on the 2, was it 4th and goals down there, and then they kicked the field goals. Take your points. It would have been a 1-possession game. Ohio State's defense, coached by Matt Patricia, it looked great. They have a ton of NFL talent on their defensive side of the ball. You're basically playing against a borderline NFL defense, and with an NFL caliber defensive coordinator. He was for the Patriots dynasty teams. So you're not going out there with some guy who is new, who is calling the plays on the defense for Ohio State. It took me a second to really get what I wanted to say out there. No, you have an extremely experienced guy who coached and was a coordinator for the dynasty teams of New England a decade ago. And this is not a rookie guy coaching that defense out there in Ohio State. This is an extremely experienced guy. Whether or not he was a terrible head coach for Detroit, or he was an offensive coordinator for some reason for New England a few years ago, the guy could coach a defense, and that's what he did. So take your points when you can get them, because Texas's defense was playing very good against San. They were in that game the whole game. It was still a 1-possession game, even without the 2 field goals. But they could have kicked the field goal. What would have been 14-13 and try to get in field goal range to win the game. That's all they had to do. So yeah, no, you got to get your points. Ohio State. Let's talk a little more about Ohio State. They looked really good, of course. They could definitely run it back, to be completely honest with you. Ryan Day. They seem like they're just in a groove as an organization right now. They really do. They just look like they are in a groove as a team, as an organization. They just have NFL talent everywhere on Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith, that offensive line, the defense is just everywhere. Everywhere you look is just an NFL caliber player on any unit of that team. So yeah, Ohio State, credit to them. They went out there and they balled out. They weren't necessarily flashy on offense at all. I think they definitely got to work on their offense a little bit, but you're playing against the number 1 ranked team in the country. So that said, they played great. They got the win. They did what they needed to do. And I'm sure that they'll be their number 1 ranked team in the country this week. So they could definitely run it back. A couple more weeks to really get some experience under your belt and really get the train on the tracks for that team is really going to do benefit for them. So good for them. Ohio State is definitely on pace to run it back this year. So I think Julian Saint's going to get only better as the year goes on. So yeah. Next game I'd like to talk about is LSU versus Clemson. What I'd like to talk about, I had this prediction earlier on in the year. I had Garrett Nussmeier as one of my Heisman contenders. I actually had them winning the Heisman, and I was praying that he was going to live up to that against Clemson, and he did. He looked great. There's talks about him winning the Heisman. I predicted that. A lot of people are now all of a sudden on the Nussmeier train. Again, it's only one game. You know, I've been on the train, but it's only one game. I'm still very skeptical of him still. But even so, I had him as my Heisman winner and a top 10 pick in the draft months ago. I even said it on my podcast over a month ago. So it's there. It's there for you guys to see. I said it. And now everyone's hopping on the hype train for Nussmeier. Like, okay, this kid, I think he's going to win the Heisman. I think he's finally living up to his potential. He looked great against Clemson. And Clemson definitely struggled. I had them. I even said last week, I said, why, Clemson has an extremely stacked defense. They have Klubnik maybe going number 3 overall in the draft next year, excuse me. And I seen that graphic on the TV, and I've seen it in some mock drafts and stuff. They have Klubnik going as high as number 3. I don't see it. I like Klubnik, but I don't know. I'm really not a fan. I was not as hype on Clemson as most people have been. I have them being very disappointing this year, to be honest with you. Again, it's the first game, but I said on my podcast last week, they're really ranked number 4. They have a lot of really good talent on that defense, but I don't know. Even still, their defense gave some big plays last week. Even with that, still, and there was some big plays that didn't count. There was a foot out of bounds, body part hit out of bounds. They got kind of lucky on some plays. So credit to LSU, dude. LSU looked really good. Yeah, I have Nussmeier as my Heisman winner this year. I think he's going to climb up high in the drafts. Finally, I think we're going to start seeing the Nussmeier breakout, which we've been waiting for. It was incredibly disappointing last year, but I think he's really going to use that to his benefit this year. And after week 1, it's looking like that so far. It's a long way to go for Nussmeier, though, but at LSU, I think Clemson's going to be good, but being ranked number 4, I don't think they're a top 4 team in the country, to be honest with you. Again, I said that last week. I'm not seeing it. I think they're going to be disappointing. I think they'll make the college football playoffs, but I don't see them winning a national championship or anything, to be honest with you. I don't see it personally. Next thing I want to talk about is LaNorris Sellers and Carson Beck. Dude, I was pretty high on LaNorris Sellers coming into this season. I thought he was going to put up a really high campaign. I think he's going to be a Heisman candidate. But he looked great. He looked great last week. It kind of shifted my perspective of him. It's like, okay, could this guy really be a high-end first-round pick next year? Again, long way to go. But he looked incredible. 12 for 19, 209 yards, touchdown, and 0 interceptions passing. He had 13 rushes. He had 13 rushes and a touchdown. Dude, he looked really good. He did. He looked really, really good out there. He looks like he's going to be the dual threat quarterback that rises high in that draft. That's what a lot of teams are looking for. And there was a lot of hype coming on LaNorris Sellers. Now, obviously not as high as like an Arch Manning or something, but he's definitely living up to it, man. LaNorris Sellers looked great the other day, so good for him. Carson Beck, I'd like to talk about Carson Beck a little bit. Man, he was 20 for 31, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he didn't have a pick. He looked really, really good. Good for him. Seriously. I said about Carson Beck, one of the first videos on my podcast was, can he revive his career to be a first-round pick? And he absolutely looked like it last week. Or the other day, I guess last week, same thing. But, I mean, that's pretty good statistics. And they won. They got the upset over Notre Dame. I said that the other day. I actually took Notre Dame to win that game. But I said, don't be surprised if Miami does go on to win that game. I said Carson Beck is looking to revive his career to be a first-round pick. And he's definitely looking like he could do that again. Because a lot of people were saying with Georgia, he was just carried by his team. Now, there's some people saying that, he got bailed out by some of his receivers. I mean, that catch in the end zone by Miami was just ridiculous. I mean, that was a damn near Odell Beckham kind of catch right there. But even still, and him even finding him in that situation right there. Beck looked very poised. He looked good. He looked experienced. And if he goes out there and balls out for Miami, they go on to win a couple games in the college football playoffs, maybe win a championship. Beck's going to be a first-round pick and completely revive his career. So that's looking good for my take so far. Last game I'd like to talk about here today is Alabama versus Florida State. That's another massive one that's being talked about this week, along with the Texas versus Ohio State game. I mean, DeBoer's job is on the line. No doubt about it. And if it was maybe anywhere else he was coaching, he could probably get away with it. You're coaching Alabama, taking after Nick Saban. Here's a statistic right here. Since 2007 in games when Alabama was favored by at least 14 points, Nick Saban was 131-2. Kalen DeBoer's 4-4 already. I mean, their season collapsed last year with Jalen Milroe. They looked like a disaster last year. But okay, Alabama could turn it around this year. It's already looking like a disaster. I mean, Florida State isn't even ranked, but I said last week as well, Florida State, I think they're still going to have good players. They're not the team they were when Jordan Travis. I mean, they were horrible last year. Their offense was borderline unwatchable last year, to be completely honest with you. It wasn't great this week, but it definitely was better. Castellanos, passing wise, he wasn't great. 9 for 14, no touchdowns, no picks. Just really kind of nothing. He made the throws when he needed to make them. It's really his running game. He had 19 rushes, 78 yards, and a touchdown. He looked good. Ty Simpson did not look great, to be honest with you. And again, this game is more about Bama than it is FSU, to be completely honest. I mean, Florida State, man, what a game. You guys played it absolutely great. Good for you guys. Hopefully you guys make a comeback into getting into the rankings. You guys are a really good school. You have a pretty decent history as a school. But Ty Simpson, he had 2 touchdowns. He was 23 for 43, 254 yards. He had 9 rushes for 17 yards. That offensive line for Alabama either really didn't look good at all. They look completely outmatched. And that Alabama offensive line looked really bad. And I see some people talking about, could we start seeing the fall off of Alabama? You're going to start seeing people, maybe Ryan Williams transfer out and stuff. The problem is with that is Alabama's NIL deals, the amount of money they have as a program is just utterly ridiculous. They could just go out and pay someone to play for them. They're going to have a tough time, or players are going to have a tough time saying, oh, do I really want to leave Alabama? Look at the amount of money I'm going to be getting paid. The amount of money they get as a college is just insane. So I think in terms of that, players are not going to be committing to Alabama anymore. That's not true. The amount of money they have just as a college, as an organization, is just off the charts. As no other college has that as their amount of money, really. Very few do, and they're the top-ranked schools in the entire country. So, yeah, again, Alabama, the only thing they have is the Crimson Tide football team. So, yeah, they're going to keep their highly ranked players. Now, Ryan Williams may be different. Again, it's the first game. Maybe they're going to win the rest of their games. I don't know. We don't know. But DeBoer's job is on the line. Let me tell you something. Alabama fans are already sick of it. It's just, people are already chanting for Nick Saban to come back. He could maybe make a comeback. To be completely honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Nick Saban come back to coach college again. Yeah, man, Alabama. This game was more about Bama than Florida State. I thought a couple times during that game, there was some turnovers, the fumbled kickoff or the fumbled punt Florida State had, and Alabama still couldn't take advantage of it. And that comes down to coaching and players at the same time. But you got to pump up your team to sit there and say, dude, we are way more talented than Florida State. Go out there. We have to take opportunities. You just go out there on the sideline, and DeBoer every time is just with his arms crossed, like sitting like this. Dude, get out there. If that was Nick Saban and players are out there that causing terrible personal foul penalties and stuff, you know what you do? You know what he'd do? That player would not be in the game again. And they'd be getting their ass chewed out on the sideline. That's not the case with DeBoer. He just sits there with his arms crossed, and he puts the player back in. Like, dude, go get on your players. The players are out there. They just don't. That team does not have the same vibe at all around them. You have top-notch recruits, top-notch players, and they all just out there are all kind of lackadaisical or however. They just don't look like they want to be there at all. So it's just tough for Bama. You have to hope they can turn it around, but it's not looking good at all for that organization at all. We'll see, man, as time goes on. People are already calling for Ty Simpson's job. I'd say give him a little longer. That offensive line looked putrid when I was watching it. They just look completely outmatched against Florida State's pass rushers. So Florida State has NFL talent too. I mean, it's not like they went out there and lost to some cakewalk team. Like, Florida State still has NFL talent out there on their team. So that's why I'm not being too harsh. But dude, you got to go out there and win that game. You just do. Alabama has not looked good the last year or two as an organization. So they're going to be chanting for Saban back. They already are. So we'll see with that. That's it for the podcast here today, man. I know the last couple of episodes have been a little short, but not a lot of news going on. Tomorrow we got Top 10 Tuesday. I'm completely re-ranking my Top 10. So we are going to be back in our flow, constant rankings here on the channel. We are really going to be what it's like now, starting tomorrow during the NFL season. Constant reactions, constant content. So be ready, guys. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one. Happy Labor Day, everyone, and NFL week.